T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir, fellas. Good to see you all. Hey, boys, it's almost Thanksgiving, so here's one for you. How'd the turkey get home for Thanksgiving?
Give up.
He took the gravy train, of course.
Oh, yes.
Fellas, NFL Week 10 happenings. Down go the Eagles. The Bills and Vikings play one for the ages. Justin Jefferson's a record-setting machine. And what? Jeff Saturday is now a head coach, but he wins. And my favorite part for Lugs, if the season ended today, the Bills would be a number 6 seed in the AFC. So, Lugs, where do you want to start this monster show? Go ahead. Take it away.
Well, I'll just say this about that.
Yeah, please, yes.
The Buffalo-Minnesota game was amazing. I mean, all Buffalo had to do was knock that one pass down, and it would be a whole different outcome. But Justin Jefferson made the catch of the century, basically. I mean, that one hand grab, I thought it was going out of bounds, honestly, but he went up and got it. And I give it to the Vikings, and though it galls me, it's getting me right up under the sternum.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it. What galls you, Larry?
Kirk Cousins did all right, but Josh Allen gave that game away. He really did in the fourth quarter. He's reverted to his rookie year. So, but still a great game to watch.
His rookie year. I love that. His rookie year. Not just last year. No, his rookie year. All right, T-Dog, what'd you think of that?
I'll start off with I guess defeated, just because expectations are still high, and it's funny we're talking like they're dead. They're 6-3.
Right.
And they're still, but I definitely, obviously, this is 2 losses in a row for them, or did they? I'm trying to think. They lost to the Jets last week. Yeah.
Yep.
So they're reeling, and to be fair to at least he's not playing at his rookie level. He's still playing for the most part at a high level. But to be fair to Lugs' point, he has been very careless with the ball at points. So it is this polished quarterback he's developed into being careless, like how he was when he was a rookie. So I will give him that. And if you look at all 3 turnovers, they were all critical. And one of the first one you can't completely kill him for. And this is one where, again, I know we're not going to get into the analytics talk. It was 4th and 2. They could have kicked a field goal. They had one of the best field goal kickers, Tyler Bass. They go to add another 3 points. I guess the analytics, the computer, their abacus, whoever the supercomputer told them they needed to go for it. He threw a bad pick to Pat Pete. I guess, like I said, you can't completely kill him, but like it feels like, it was still a bad pick though, because there was no one in the vicinity. Then obviously he muffed the snap, and that allowed the Minnesota to recover to go up 30-27. And it was, again, this is where Josh Allen isn't the rookie guy. He was able to take him down the field like at 37 seconds. So he still got it to some level. But then just the pick in overtime, it was not a good pick. He's been careless with the ball, and this is what you kind of get with these guys who are super athletic. They get so confident that they could do certain things that they're not playing smart at times. They just try to superhero or hero ball it. So, props to the Vikings. They definitely at halftime they looked like they were done. They were down 24-10, and Buffalo right before the break scored a touchdown to make it look like they broke their back. And Vikings really got jump started by Dalvin Cook, who was bottled up pretty much all day, and then burst off at an 81-yard touchdown on one of those carries. Kirk Cousins, To be fair, I'll be in the middle of both of you. He had some big plays. Don't get me wrong. That second pick was awful. He threw it directly to a Bill.
He did.
There
He
was
did.
no one.
He did.
And
He did.
I know
He
the
did.
I know the announcers try to cover it up. It was like, oh, well, that's where he probably thinks the guy's supposed to be. I mean, he turned and looked. He should be able to differentiate the colors. I don't know if he's colorblind. You should get those glasses that can help people with colorblindness see.
Oh, yeah, the
better.
ones on late night TV? Yeah, those. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But anyway, and again,
Cousins, no matter what, he considers that a reception. So go ahead.
and again, I'm not going to give him. He drove him down the field in overtime, but let's not forget, like at the goal line with the game on the line, they did not convert. For a touchdown. They got lucky that their defensive line, who came alive in the second half, was able to disrupt the snap and be able to recover it.
So how did Eric Kendricks get that ball? Have you watched that over and over again? How did he get that ball?
It's luck.
Again, it goes back to the Herm Edwards play, years and years and years ago when he was a player. Like, it's just a really bad snap in a really bad spot at a really bad time. That's all the stars aligned for the Vikings. But
so I was just going to ask.
Oh, you go.
I was just going to ask.
Wait, this is Josh Allen knocking on the door. He's ticked at you, Lugs, for calling him a rookie.
Well, why not just snap that ball out of the end zone, take the safety, and make them come all the way back from whatever. The punter is a good punter. I just I don't understand the dangers of, you got to, if you're going to run a play, put him in shotgun. Don't put him up on that line. It's crazy. Sorry, man, I interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, actually, that's a great point. And again, kind of tying back to the analytics thing, it feels like analytics would kind of indicate to that is like run around in the end zone as long as you can before you get sacked, burn off clock. So you're right. Actually, that is a very good point. I was just gonna, in terms of me tying it in our bow, I want to give props to the main guy in this game. And you said off the top, Justin Jefferson. We said we said before the beginning of the year. We said before the beginning of the year, this guy has the opportunity. Obviously, he already showed it the first 2 years, but in this new offense, he could become the wide receiver. He proved it today. He and Diggs, who, interesting enough, they got essentially swapped.
Right.
They traded Diggs, and then they got Jefferson. Both those guys put on a show, but Justin Jefferson, I just want to give him props. One of the greatest catches I've ever seen in a big spot, and just he's showing why he is one of the guys to beat at that position.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the Jerry Rice of this generation, I think. He just doesn't have as good a quarterback, but that's okay.
Every chance he gets, a little dig in there. But how did Jefferson keep that the miracle catch? Everybody's talking about it. That ball came from like within 6 inches of touching the ground. That's the part I saw in the replay. And how did he keep that? It's just remarkable that worked out that way. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just a guy that wanted it and has massive hands, obviously.
Obviously, in the offseason, it opens a lot of jars of pickles. Just like trains, getting his grip strength better. So,
hey, you need some pickles? I can help you out.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to talk about next? That was an instant classic we'll watch over and over again, maybe if we want to. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, from pickles to Packers.
Hey,
I
good
just
segue.
wanted to say Dallas Cowboys showed exactly who they are. Dak Prescott is again pressing too hard. And there's no way that the Packers should have won that game. But that kid, again, the kid receiver, Christian Watson,
Yep.
I mean, he showed up. And I guess that Hiawatha tea finally wore off and Aaron got back to actually playing football. He's not just seeing ghosts out there. So I had to have to say, okay, that sort of gave Packardom a little something to get them through that long, cold winter that is Green Bay.
So is this a turning point for the Packers or just a blip?
It was a good game. I don't think it changes them much. They're not going to beat Minnesota.
To because the NFC is so wonky, I'm not ruling them out, but I kind of am on the long lines of Lugs in that I'm happy for Christian Watson. I liked him coming out. He's one of those guys I was hoping Chicago would get. And I know he's raw coming out of North Dakota State, but you saw just how athletic he is, and I mean how big and athletic. I mean, on that first touchdown, he did a backflip. I want to say he's like close to 6'4", and it's a man who's 6'4" doing a backflip. So just you see how and it's been hard for him because he was injured for most of training camp. And then, he has that big first pass in the Vikings game where he dropped it. And that's when Aaron Rodgers looked over at the sideline and is like, see, I told you.
Shook
like,
his
he's
head
not ready.
Thing,
yeah. And it looked like Romeo Doubs, who they took later in the draft, was actually taking kind of Watson's spot, at least for this year. And luckily, Romeo Doubs got injured for Watson to kind of step in and maybe become the guy for the back half of the season. But and to be fair to the Lugs, Green Bay finally did what he wanted. They ran the ball 39 times. And Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, they both averaged 5 yards a carry. If you think about it, the crazy thing is Aaron Rodgers threw for 224 yards, 3 touchdowns. He only threw the ball 20 times. So, I mean, it was very run oriented and just kind of attacking them off of the. And I will agree with Lugs in this. I love Dak Prescott, but again, they were in the red zone, I believe, off of a turnover by the Green Bay in the first half. He got greedy and he threw a pick. If they just kick a field goal there, this game doesn't go into overtime. So,
and he's a little leery of trying to run for first downs now. You can see it. There were a couple of times where it was open. Run and slide, and he didn't do it. He tossed it out.
And also, I think you can kind of see the rustiness between them because that second pick, clearly it feels like, it was a CD Lamb misreading how he should have ran his route. I think Olsen did a good job explaining that, where you're supposed to go flat. And that's where, like I said, I'm not blaming Dak on that one. I think he threw it where you're supposed to throw it. And for whatever reason, CD Lamb decided to go behind the defender instead of going across his face like he should. But I'm saying that's just because I don't think they're as used to each other as they should be. They're not completely in rhythm yet. So it's okay for Dallas. They'll be okay. They're still going to compete for the NFC East. I'm not even ruling out they can't be the number 1 seed still. It's just that definitely Dak has to get better. As good as Pollard is, I think they need Elliott to just hopefully to keep Pollard fresh. Even though Malik Davis played well for him, but good win for Green Bay. Like what Lug said, they finally just focused on their running attack, and that opened up them just going deep with Christian Watson, who looks like he's emerging for them. So yes, they're on life support, but they're still alive.
Well, here we go. NFC North standings as of now: Vikings 8-1, Packers are 4-6. I mean, we've seen losing streaks, we've seen winning streaks. This could change. I mean, there's 7 games to go. A lot of football to be played.
Yeah, if you look at the rest, these are the next few games. I'll let you all decide what the Titans.
That's sort of a split for me there.
At Lambeau.
Go either way.
Titans.
Yeah. Okay. At Philly.
Oh, that's tough.
Philly will take that.
Okay. At Chicago.
Packers.
You know what?
Lugs is checking in with a Bears W.
You're gonna go with Chicago, okay? All right.
I am, just because
writing that one down.
They're finally letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields. It's like they woke up and said, "Hey, the kid was a run-pass quarterback, not a pass-run quarterback."
Yeah.
And so they're letting him do some stuff because it's like the season's lost anyway.
Yeah, I guess I won't go through all of them, but I could see them possibly making the playoffs because I think they'll beat the Titans. I'm not saying it'll be easy. I don't have them beating the Eagles. I think if I was going to bet, I bet they'd beat Chicago at Chicago. Rams, I think Rams are just completely white flagging it now. Dolphins are a toss up. Vikings, I think, because it's at Lambeau, they'll maybe win that one, and then I think they'll win the Lions. So I think they have a good
So
shot.
9-8 or 10-7,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah,
Maybe.
nine, and yeah, they're 10-7 or 9-8. Yeah, I think that's still in the possibility for Green Bay. So I think they're still in it.
All right, let's talk about that. Jeff Saturday is now a head coach, and they win. Who wants to check in on this one? I want to share this with you, though. Saturday said this. He says, hey, I was working at ESPN, and over in the next office was Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone walked out of ESPN and got the job as the manager of the New York Yankees. Why can't I be the head coach of the Colts? And he is.
Yeah. Jeff Saturday was king of Sunday this time around.
Woo,
and,
nice.
But let's face it, you're playing a Las Vegas Raiders team that Las Vegas has talent on both sides of the ball. So it says to me the coaching's bad.
What is happening there? What is happening?
The schemes are bad.
Right.
Well, what's happening is I'm thinking that Derek Carr will work his way into, because he's a free agent after this. So he's working himself into, think about it. If the Jets had Derek Carr, they would be legitimate because they're playing. And Robert Saleh, I've been impressed with him. The two New York teams, which have been just, bottom dwellers, now have two good coaches. So, yeah, good for the Colts, but it ain't gonna last.
Wow.
I'm maybe not going to be as completely doom and gloom as Lugs, but the one thing I will give Jeff Saturday, I'll be positive right off the bat. The one thing I will give Jeff Saturday is you could tell that this team had a lot more fight than they have shown in the last few weeks,
Agreed.
Obviously. And to be fair, even to Frank Wright, I think some of that was, I think when you read like some articles by columnists like Zach Kiefer, the team clearly did not want them going away from Matt Ryan to Sam Ehlinger. The guys on the team were not happy with that, which is understandable. I'm not saying that Matt Ryan doesn't have his warts and problems now, but he's even at his advanced age and he's not the MVP. Everyone is like to say he was MVP. Yes, it was years and years ago. Like, it's a weird thing to hold on to, but he still can play where, I don't know if I don't know if Sam Ehlinger ever be a starter in the NFL. That was baffling. Anyway, you had like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan had a 39-yard run.
Who was
late
that
30s.
guy? Who was that guy?
Yeah, Charlie Hustle. There was a fumble by Pittman. There was a fumble by Pittman at a critical point in the game where it looked like the Raiders were going to recover, and Pittman ran back and fought and recovered it. And then just the offensive line on that big Jonathan Taylor run, I believe it was I'm trying to think off the, I think it was Smith. If you look at their right tackle Smith, he just detonated a guy and just opened up this huge like freeway for then Jonathan Taylor their streak for a 66-yard touchdown. So they have a lot more fight, and I do give that to him. But kind of like what Lug said, this Raiders team is just, I think their spirit is crushed. They're not reinvigorated like the Colts. Devontae Adams is obviously frustrated. Derek Carr obviously is frustrated. And again, I don't think you people brought this up. The other funny part of irony in this game is, if you remember a long time ago, the current guy who is still the GM of the Colts, his coach he wanted to hire was Josh McDaniels, and actually took the job with the Colts.
Josh stiffed him.
And turned him down. Yep. And again, I still like Josh McDaniels, but he is one of these guys who's a great coordinator who now this is the second team he's been, and this team has flatlined on him. So I don't know what he's doing. He might be one of those guys, and obviously there's a lot of guys. And again, some people might be saying, oh, he's a Wade Phillips. Let's give credit to Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips actually had some good years as a head coach. They did kind of like slowly maybe disintegrate on him, but like he at least had some good years. Josh McDaniels, every time he's been a head coach, and we saw this team in the playoffs last year. I'm not saying they didn't overperform last year, but still that gives a credit to Bisaccia, who's now
Right.
our special teams coordinator in Green
Bring him
Bay.
back.
Maybe he should have came back. So I don't know. It's I'll say this for the Colts. It's a great win for them. They'll probably win some games, but next week I believe they play the Eagles. I don't see them winning that game, and they'll beat. They still have to get to probably beat the Texans. They I'm trying to see. They could beat the maybe no. Actually, the rest are. I'm looking at it: Eagles, Steelers, Cowboys, Vikings, Chargers, Giants, Texans.
What? They're hanging in there at 4-5, though. I mean, they're not like mathematically shot yet. So
I say maybe one or two more wins.
Yeah.
That's looking at that. So I think they're done. I'm just saying I'm happy for them that they got to win. But they'll be drafting in the top 5 this.
Regarding McDaniels, it's the old adage: you don't take your best salesman and make him the sales manager. It usually doesn't work. He's a good coordinator, doesn't make him a good head coach.
Definitely. And he's proven it twice.
Yeah, maybe more than that, but that's stint with the Colts for about 7 days. Yeah,
and
crazy.
Speaking of guys that should not be around, Nathaniel, my man, at Denver.
Nathaniel Hackett, Denver Broncos. Hello.
How is he still there? I just don't, I get it that the air is rarefied there in Denver. It's so maybe they're oxygen deprived. I just do not get it.
Is that one of the biggest surprises of the year? The fact that Russell Wilson's on a pretty bad team.
Oh, pretty bad. I mean, they're awful.
3-6 in third place in the AFC West.
I think, they'd be better off to bring back Tim Tebow. Come on.
Oh, Tebow. We haven't had a Tebow reference in a couple of shows. I really like that one, too. Hey, I want to talk about the Commanders. Are they for real? The Commanders took out the Eagles with authority, I thought. What did you guys think?
Well, it was ground and pound, and they pulled it off. I think the Eagles suffered from their own press clippings a little bit. I think they took them lightly. And, in the NFL, these boys are paid to do this. They're getting paid to go out there and hurt people on defense. And I think that defensively, they took that ball away a bunch. So impressive.
And what do you do with the quarterback, Heineke or Wentz? T-Dog, what do you do with that?
Oh, you stick with Heineke. I mean, it's not even a question. And if you remember, like how Rivera kind of buried him and slightly backtracked. I mean, he initially came out and said what he wanted. I mean, since they've made the switch, they are, I believe, 4-1 since they made the switch. And last week they barely lost to Minnesota. So he's not the prettiest guy, and obviously his highs aren't going to be what Carson Wentz are, but it definitely feels like the team likes him maybe more, or at least they're playing better for him. I don't know. I'm sure it goes beyond that. Again, the one guy I want to give a lot of props to be fair to kind of what Lug said, it was mainly ground and pound. They ran it 49 times with an average rushing of 3.1. So it was really grind. I mean, it wasn't even efficient. It was just eating clock, which was still effective and important.
It works.
But the one guy I want to give props to, Taylor Heineke to an extent, but mainly you look at how good the corners have been for the Eagles all year. And Terry McLaurin, he doesn't get the spotlight put on him enough. And obviously with Heineke and Wentz and stuff, he's one of those guys I think is possibly a top tier wide receiver who doesn't have the quarterback play to make him look as good as he is. And if you go back and watch that game, on a lot of critical third down and longs, Heineke threw it up to Terry McLaurin, and Terry McLaurin was clutch almost every instance. Mm-hmm. And he kept drives alive to allow them to run for 3 yards and carry and control
3
the
yards.
clock. And also, Lugs pointed out too, just a lot of it came down to time of possession. Washington held the ball. And in terms of turnover ratio, they were +3, mainly because of all their fumble recoveries. Even though that Dallas Goedert one, there was a face mask
Yes,
that they
yes.
didn't call, but it doesn't matter. It was a good win for Washington. It just shows you how none of us know what anything's going to be. The NFC East now, no team is above or below 500 with Washington winning. All these teams are very competitive. Like again, Washington and the Giants aren't the prettiest teams, but they will punch you in the mouth. They're very gritty. So it's going to be fun to watch that whole division and the AFC East. Those are probably the two most fascinating ones to watch.
The two East divisions, I agree. Lugs, what do you say?
Oh yeah, and looking forward to that Thanksgiving game, baby, because I think Chase Young, he's going to spank Dak at least once, maybe twice. He's going to bust him a couple of times. So, and I've got this thought, closed circuit to Taylor Heineken's.
Heineke, man. Heineken's a beer. Come on, man. Come on. Heineke.
To his people, he should do Heineke Meineke. That commercial for the mufflers. He should do it. The whole time I'm thinking I could just see this guy doing that. So anyway.
Well, maybe you're gonna have to wait till next year because the Dallas Cowboys play the Giants on Thanksgiving this year.
Not Washington. I missed
no.
You flipped the calendar, man. You turned to 23. This is still 22.
I guess I'm flipping. I'm going back to Madden days with the big 6-legged turkey and stuff.
Yeah. There's a
turducken.
guy. There's a guy. A
turducken.
Yeah. Get it.
Boom.
Ow.
What?
Boom.
The game that I thought was kind of cool, the Miami Cleveland Brown game. That was very competitive. And Tua, I got to give it to Mike McDaniel. He has created an offense that works for Tua. I mean, it's that pocket's clean. Tua's not being chased very much, and he's showing up. I mean, 3 TDs, and it's the 5th or 6th game this year since Tua, in the games that Tua's played, he's had multiple TDs.
Looks like they have their quarterback, doesn't it? They've got their guy.
Yeah, I mean it's entertaining. This whole year, even with the crazy teams, there've been some real entertaining games.
What's a crazy team, man? Give me one crazy team. What does that even mean?
Well, like the Raiders,
okay.
like the Texans, even Pittsburgh this year. They are a crazy team just because it's so unsettled and,
I just want to give just the front office for the hiring of Mike McDaniels. You look at what he's been able to, again, and it's not just Mike McDaniels. I think Brian Flores could be a good head coach again if he gets an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'll happen, obviously, with the lawsuit. But the one thing where I think he really did miss the boat is, and this is every coach we kind of talk about, he never constructed an offense that emphasized the strengths of Tua, and that's what Mike McDaniel's doing.
Agreed.
He's a smart guy who can get the ball out quickly. He can read where he's accurate. Maybe he doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's got a strong enough arm. You look at how Waddle and Tyreek Hill open up things for like Trent Sheffield, who had 63 yards and a touchdown yesterday. And then the timely trades they made, obviously Chubb was a bigger name than this guy, but the adding of Jeff Wilson was huge because you look in just like the last few games he's been at it. Jeff Wilson had 17 carries for 119 yards. He averaged 7 yards a carry. Raheem Mostert, who is already playing well, the one problem he's always had is staying durable, is durability. So they're allowing him to just be, not carry the ball 15 to 16 times a game, just give him 10 carries or maybe like a few catches. He's so explosive in addition to Jeff Wilson. So they not only have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle at receiver who are explosive. Now they have 2 extremely explosive running backs out of the backfield. Both of them, like I said, Wilson averaged 7 yards a carry. Raheem Mostert averaged 8.1 yards a carry. I don't know how you stop this offense when it's humming.
It's clicking.
They have 2 wide receivers that can break big plays, and then now you have 2 running backs who can do it. So like again, kind of what Lug said, there's a lot of fun teams for different variety of reasons. Miami is just one of those teams offensively. And again, Cleveland, you look at what they did to the Bengals offense 2 weeks ago. It's just very bizarre now that they did get boat raced in the second half of this game. So I don't know.
It's wild times. Hey, Lugs, let's do a little sports of yesteryear, and then we'll come back and finish up a little NFL chit-chat. You ready?
Rocking.
Here we go. It's sports of yesteryear. He goes back way back to talk about things we don't know even what he's talking about in his 1972 Chevy Nova. His name is Lugs. He's in his car, and he's going to go now. Go.
All right. 1901, the 6th Iron Bowl. Auburn beats Alabama 17-0 in Tuscaloosa. The 2022 Iron Bowl is coming up on November 26th. 1946. Ted Williams is picked as American League MVP. Move on up to when my man passes and his head is cryogenically frozen and still housed at a lab in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Craziest thing ever. Ridiculous.
1986. So 40 years later, he's a chunk of ice. 1959. Cleveland Browns halfback Bobby Mitchell sets club record for longest run from scrimmage, 90 yards, as they beat Washington 31-7. Sticking with the Browns, in 1970, the team's namesake, Paul Brown, as head coach of the expansion Cincinnati Bengals, defeats his former team, a moment he calls his greatest victory. 1991, Ricky Pierce of the now-defunct Seattle Supersonics begins NBA free throw streak of 75 games. The Sonics moved to Oklahoma City to become the Thunder in 2008. And finally, for a friend of the show, Roger Taylor, 2020 British Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton clinches 4th straight and record equaling 7th F1 World Drivers' Championship by winning the Turkish Grand Prix. That's it for the old sports of yesteryear.
Well, thank you, Lugs, for that update, that fabulous update. I have a question. Okay, Paul Brown is the namesake of the Browns. We know that. Have you seen that Brownie the Elf at the 50-yard line at Cleveland's Progressive Field? Have you seen that thing?
Oh, yeah.
And your thoughts are?
It goes way back. It's quaint. It's not a modern mascot. It's quaint.
Quaint. Do you like it or not?
I'll have a strong take. I like it because again, I like mythology, and for them to incorporate like a brownie, like a fairy fae folk type character, I think is actually really cool.
Yeah, well, it kind of reminds me of Notre Dame's Leprechaun. So
I could see that. It just kind of.
I think he's a little tougher. I think the Notre Dame Leprechaun. I think he's one of those guys who's like, too vocal about like how tough he is. When someone's like too vocal about how tough they are, it's probably not. The Brownie's kind of smug looking. Like he knows he could just take you down with like one punch.
Okay, so they named the team after the dude. Thank goodness there wasn't like the Miami Shulas or something, right?
Oh yeah.
What would you put on the field?
Well,
Martini?
I figured,
what would you do? What would it be?
The Bengals, they have the same colors as the Browns, basically.
Yeah.
Even though it's stripes.
Well, the original team didn't. I mean, they literally had the Browns jersey with just Bengals plastered on the side of a Browns helmet,
stenciled on.
Because it was again, look, one of the greatest coaches ever. But Mike Brown, any story you hear, very petty man, incredibly petty.
The Green Bay Lombardis, the Chicago Hallases. I mean, naming it after an owner. I don't know, or a team coach or something. All right, here we go. We're 34 past the hour here. It's only 28 degrees in the River City. What else you want to talk about tonight?
Well, we've kind of worked around it. Let's talk about that Bears-Lions game. Let's talk about it. You want to go first, Lugs?
Go ahead, man.
Okay. Wow, we are scraping it here. We are scraping here. Go ahead.
What?
Yeah, go.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah, you go. You go.
It's it's second verse, same as the first as last week.
Yep.
Justin Fields, is kind of showing like his talent. Credit to him and Eberflus with the offense and just allowing him to be able to run the ball. I mean, he ran for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of them 67 yards out. But that 67 yards out came after a critical pick, which was a bad throw by him. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was a lollipop throw that he threw up, and Jeffrey Okudah was able to pick it off and run it back. But our man Cairo Santos missing that extra point allowed Detroit Lions to go down the field and score and kick the extra point, and they get the lead. And it's just frustrating because, again, I guess I shouldn't get too mad because they're rebuilding, but it's just frustrating because as talented as he is, they've lost so much talent on defense that he has to have these crazy games just for him to be in it. So
Cairo Santos, yes. So is Luke Getsy a real offensive coordinator, T-Dog, or what do you think? Is he going to be the guy going forward? Is he proving his mettle now?
I think maybe in a year or two. I mean, look, we never know. Like these coaching hires, like when the seasons some of them are bizarre. I mean, again, kind of going back to if Lugs are going to hate on Kirk Cousins, again, I'll hit my boy Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury was fired as a head coach of Texas Tech, took the USC's offensive coordinator job, and then got hired as a head coach in the NFL.
And he had a losing record at Texas Tech too, didn't he?
Yeah, every season. So with Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, and anyway, I don't want to. So I think he'll probably be back another year, just because again his quarterback is so unique to having the offense work. I don't think anyone's like, oh, we can apply this here with this guy. I don't think it's that applicable on some level. But I think it probably in a year or two, like Luke Getsy, if they keep developing the offense like this, I think he will be gone.
Okay, so, Lugs, did Dan Campbell save his job with that win over the Bears?
Oh, I don't think it matters in Detroit. I don't think they expect to ever win anything.
It doesn't matter if you win or lose ever?
And I just don't think so. I think if he shows up at the local Denny's and holds court and just talks that, he reminds me of Coach O a little bit with all of his sayings and stuff. So
kind of I don't think Schnellenberger, isn't he? He's like Schnellenberger.
Well, Schnellenberger didn't have a sense of humor. His sense of humor was in his pipe, and it wasn't what he was smoking.
How do you keep a sense of humor in a pipe? I got to look that one up. I'll be back to you on that. Wow.
But, yeah, it's crazy stuff.
What else tonight? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I guess like the last 2 games, last 3 games, I'll just kind of skim real quick. Jaguars, Chiefs, just Patrick Mahomes, like clearly now kind of going back to Josh Allen, kind of stumbling in these last 2 weeks. I feel Patrick Mahomes is clearly now in the lead as the MVP of the league. Just how he's got that offense humming, and you starting to see flashes of Kadarius Toney looking very Tyreek Hill-ish. So that's going to be scary for the rest of the league. Cardinals, Rams. Again, I don't think he's better, and obviously the Rams are completely.
They're really done, aren't they? With Cup out and
it's Stafford and concussion protocol. But that being said, Colt McCoy, every time he stepped in, he's played very well. And I know he's not the long-term solution. I think it's more of, I'm not going to say indictment on him, or again, maybe he gets along with Cliff Kingsbury because it clearly feels like Kyler and Cliff Kingsbury don't get along, which is bad for a head coach and his starting quarterback.
Rough,
yeah. But again, that's a 2-team race. And speaking of the other team in the race for the NFC West, the 49ers. It feels like they got their formula. That with Christian McCaffrey and Mitchell in the backfield, they have 2 guys that are just going to pound it. They have Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. They'll sprinkle those guys in. They're not going to ask Garoppolo to do a whole lot. That defense, again, to be fair, the Chargers are missing their top 2 wide receivers, and then their starting tight end got injured by the beginning of the second quarter. But that being said, they suffocated the Chargers, particularly in the second half. They goose egged them. And, I just kind of look at the 49ers. They will be in the mix. I know there's still maybe a game back from Seattle, but I have them still winning the division. I just think they're starting to get their mojo going.
Yeah, and I forgot what the defensive lineman I saw the talking head, the interview with him.
Nick Bosa?
He said the line. He said the line when they asked him about Garoppolo. And he said all he does is win.
See?
And he's our guy.
Love it.
So I mean, it's time to just give Jimmy G money.
His due.
He keeps them there.
Yep.
They wouldn't be there without him at all.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and I guess kind of going back to the still not dead group, Bucks winning in Germany.
Yeah, and a raucous crowd.
Which was a pretty cool scene. But Brady's not dead yet, but still, like, you watch that team, and it feels like we talk about a few teams like this. I think they'll get in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do a whole lot when they get inside playoffs. They're a complete pretender, which is bizarre to think where you felt about them at the beginning of the season, but I don't see them rounding into form. I'll just put it that way.
Okay, and the time we have remaining. Yeah, go ahead, Lugs.
I was just going to say, I think that final move for the touchdown with 38 seconds to go last week, I think that brought all the divorce issues, everything. It brought Brady out of the doldrums, and he came back to be Brady. I do think they'll turn it around because they'll get everybody healthy again. But it won't be easy. But I think they'll turn it around. I think they'll make it into the second round of the playoffs.
Okay.
But,
so as we bring this one to a close, a quick comment here. Week 10's in the books. Are the standings where you thought they'd be at this point in the season? Just give me a little snapshot.
Oh, no, not at all. Not in any division. Well, Kansas City, we all basically picked them. But, I mean, no. The NFC East, the AFC South, none of that is going to what anybody thought. In the North, I mean, you thought Green Bay would be at least competitive, and they're not really.
To answer your question, I think I'm wrong on all of them. I didn't have Kansas City winning the division. I did have them going to the Super Bowl, but I didn't have them winning the division. But all the other ones, the Colts, like I said, I look at the rest of their schedule. I see maybe 2 wins. Green Bay, I think they're still in it, but Minnesota at this point has a vice grip on that division. And I as much as I know Lugs likes to kill on him, I don't see Kirk Cousins crapping the bed that badly for them to lose an 8-1 lead on a 4-6 team at this point. And again, Dolphins are now in the lead in the AFC East. The Jets are playing pretty strong, and kind of like Lug said, maybe they get Derek Carr next offseason. Let's say Zach Wilson just plays okay. He's not a liability. He's just the average, or maybe he's like a Garoppolo level quarterback. If they could get him to play a Garoppolo level quarterback this year, their ceiling's a lot higher too. So I don't know. Yeah, this is just a really interesting year because a lot of teams that we thought maybe were going to be bad, like I'll admit, like the Giants. I mean, you can't say the Giants are mirage at this point. It's fascinating they're this good with when you look at their roster still, a big chunks of that roster outside that D-line, it's a bunch of dudes. So it's scary to think what they're going to be when they actually get talent.
Well, yeah, and they're still winning with just one-dimensional. Hand it to Saquon. I mean, that's their whole offense. Hand it to Saquon.
It's pretty much. It's pretty impressive.
So.
All right. Well, some major surprises and major disappointments. I think we can tear up our predictions for this year, huh? That's what the NFL's all about.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Is that it for this show? We're going to close it up here.
Well, I got one final note here.
A final note. Go.
Irish jockey Tygo Callahan took a break from thoroughbred racing this week to try his hand at ostrich racing. He was in Australia for vacation with his family, and they convinced him to do a celebrity exhibition, and he actually won on an ostrich. The second place finisher was Men at Work singer Colin Hay, and the third place was Rick Springfield. And it was in the first ever Olivia Newton-John Memorial Stakes ostrich racing. And so you got to note it. It's crazy.
Was that out in Perth by chance in Western Australia? Did I read about
I think it was Melbourne,
that?
actually.
Melbourne, okay. Wow, that's a good little nugget to end the show on, I think. I mean, I don't know how we're going to top that right there,
Let's not.
Let's not. You've wasted another good 20 minutes listening to us, brought to you in part by Austin Chiropractic, reminding you the 5 most dangerous words are: maybe it will go away, get gain with no pain. Yeah, that's right, at Austin Chiropractic. We've got a guy working there tonight.
His name is Fish.
Yeah!
And this week, to mark the release of Microsoft's Xbox in 2001, Fish is bringing in his grandson, Rolf, to host a special gaming edition of the popular video game console system. For an entry fee of $20, players will get a place before the big screen and all the Red Bull they care to drink. Gamers can display their skill at video games like Halo, Max Payne, and Fusion. And the winner gets the book, Who Needs Women Anyway? So come on down Saturday at 1 p.m.
All right, we are the Sport Weasels, first in sound, first in service, and first in ostrich races, maybe. So long till next week. Bye-bye.